So yesterday I said I would do a short stream. Today I'm actually going to do a short stream because I have to be somewhere soon. Um, but yeah, I kind of figured this is helpful for me. Hopefully, on some level, at some point, it's helpful for someone else. Um, yeah, and if anyone discovers the Chewy stack this way, then that's also nice. So let's let's see what we got here today. Um, So what I was working on earlier is I realized that the we need to specify what environments um, infrastructure dependencies are a part of. So like right now, the Chewy stack has three types of components. We've got uh, like we've got source components. That's where you write your code. We've got service components. So those are sort of prepackaged servers, open source things that you can run that your code probably interacts with. And we've got infrastructure components. So the first two kind of make sense to just run everywhere, right? Like those are the things that make up your application. The third one, though, is a little different in that it might be specific to an environment, which feels a little, I don't know. Like, I've spoken to people who suggest that dev should be functionally equivalent to production or staging. I think that makes sense with companies who can afford to do that, but we want Chewy to be accessible to all kinds of people. And there are going to be people who can't afford that. Like you can't run a Kubernetes cluster for every developer. Or yeah, I don't know. Like there's reasons why certain teams will not be able to do that. And so my goodness, my phone is like just losing its mind. Ugh, that's so annoying. Okay. Yeah. So for some people, it's going to make sense to run your development environment quite differently to your production environment. The main thing is that it needs to all run containers. Like everything needs to run containers roughly the same way ish. Um, so for that reason, we're going to split things up a little bit. And to do that, we need to do what we've got here, which is the dependency graph needs to be able to recognize that an infrastructure dependency might exist in development and not in production. Yep. Though, maybe like every, yeah, no, there needs to be a way to do that. I was also thinking like, oh God. Yeah, I need to think this through. One of the ways that I was imagining things is that you could have, just gonna plop this in a comment here. Like, so you could say that if you have a shared cluster, if the idea is that you might just namespace services based on the environment. So you say you've got your production services, your staging and QA or dev or whatever in one Kubernetes cluster. You need to be able to specify that dependency, one dependency across those different components in different environments. So like if you run Hasura in production, and staging. Well, you're going to run Hasra everywhere. You need to tell Chewy that it depends on a single Kubernetes cluster that you could just put in an environment called global. So how do we do that right now? Like when we've got, you can check this out, links schema, component link schema. So I just added this, which is the environments that something should exist in. That might not make sense. Maybe it shouldn't be in the link. Ooh, okay, so the idea behind this link object, oh god, I'm like not gonna end up writing any code. I'm just gonna end up ranting for a while here. Just gonna change layout because yeah. Or maybe this, okay. So the thing is, the idea behind this links system, as opposed to like, so we've got dependencies and we've got links, and they are separate things. They're separate concepts. The idea behind a dependency is that something is required. Yoink. I'm realizing the audio is probably not great. So a dependency is necessary. So it's specified at the component like definition level. So if you say you've got an Ori Kratos container, it depends on a database. So we say you must run a Postgres database. Yeah. Oh, this is going to get so messy. There's got to be a good, clean way to like conceptualize this thing. Can two things share? Okay, so yeah, dependency, thing that is required for something else to run. Links are, a dependency turns into a link. So when you install something, you say, hey, this link between this installed Hasura component and this installed Postgres database satisfies this dependency. So that's how that works. And that is in part because there are cases there, I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but there are cases where we might have like multiple components depend on the same type of thing, like a database server as opposed to a database. And you need to tie both of them to one. Okay. Okay, that does make sense, right? Yeah. Oh, that actually solves what I was just thinking was a problem, because yeah, the links already do that. Just gonna show the code again. Okay, so do the links do that? I think they do, because right now, the link says that a thing of type of name X with type Y. Okay, maybe I should figure out what my phone is saying, because that's a whole lot of messages, but I don't think any of them are actually, yeah, none of them are actually important. Okay, so a thing with name X of type Y. We include this stuff just to have more information. Of role Z satisfies the dependency, which would be specified here in the component definition. So dependencies specify the repository that the thing should come from, the role that it plays. So for example, with Hasra, you could say a a database. So repository might be a Postgres component. Role, database, version, required, and unique. So can you have more than one? Is there at least one required? And yeah, the version. And if there are cases, again, I can't think of, but there are things that we've used in the past where you might need same type of thing to satisfy multiple roles. So that's what the role is there for. So a Postgres database a system might need two databases for whatever reason. Okay. I feel like I'm overthinking this. Should probably keep it simpler. I mean, from the user perspective, users will not need to know about this, but people who build Chewy components, aka us, but also potentially other people, will need to deal with this, and I need to deal with it at the moment as I set up these components. So I think it is important. Okay. The links then say, all right, we know about those dependencies and they are satisfied because you've got this thing from this repository and satisfies that role. And unique, I don't know if we need the unique. So it's more about like the dependency than the link that satisfies it. But I guess that's okay. And it's name and type. Name and type specifies what the specific component is. Okay. Environments was supposed to say in the dependency graph, when you work through the graph, determine, for example, in a dev environment that in dev, we're going to provision this component, say an infrastructure component. And so we want it in dev, but we might not want that same one in staging or production. If you don't define an environment, we default to asterisk, which should mean that it gets deployed everywhere. But what if you want one that is deployed globally? The link should specify whether it exists in an environment. So if we do let's say two components that rely on the same database, the name and type and role, basically. Well, yeah, name, type, role. Name and type defines which component we're linking to. Environment specifies whether or not. No, it should be on the component somehow in its configuration. Not configuration, like what's the thing we do? There's we have the definition and then we have the installed definition. So if we go into demo and we check, for example, Hasra, Chewy config. No, not there. Chewy component. This almost feels like, yeah, this shouldn't be edited. This should be like somehow, somewhere, maybe this is what forget how I define the config. Maybe infrastructure components specifically get to specify in Chewy config the environments that they get deployed to. And then if you're linking to an infrastructure component, so you could create an environment called global and then install the Kubernetes cluster. You target a provider like DigitalOcean. And then, or AWS or GCP or whatever. And then your Chewy config would specify which environments it gets deployed to or provisioned for. Okay, so you could have like here in the config, we could have like an environments key. And that would be an array of environments that this thing gets deployed to. And then in a link, you could say, okay. The link would specify the environment of the infrastructure component. Is this applicable to other things? No, because anything that's part of the application should not be picking and choosing which environment you deploy to. They should always exist everywhere. Otherwise, that's gonna be a problem. But infrastructure is different. You can still target the same database from different components. Yeah, by specifying the role name type. Repo is also really not necessary here. Repo and unique is actually necessary. Role name type are the things. But then if it's infra, then you specify. Ooh. No, because okay, so this is the thing that was messing with me earlier. It's like, oh, no. Okay, I get it. I just got it. Okay, yeah, okay. So the link, the link. Okay. The way we were thinking about Chewy, one of the things we've talked about is that I've talked about with the people that I'm working on Chewy with to some extent, is that every component is a service that can be represented by a single Docker image or by container. That it's more like an image that can run one or more containers. Yeah, where was I going with that? Yes. Yes. So, in some cases, special cases, a a a a component. Okay, so every component requires one infrastructure provider per environment. Yes, that is the thing that was missing until okay, that just clicked for me. So in every environment, the other links, whatever, be anything. The 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 infrastructure link has to be unique per environment. No. Yes, kind of. Sort of. You can link to one you can link to an infrastructure component. Oh. Okay, so the environment key does work. Is this what I was thinking earlier? I feel like it came into my brain and then it left my brain. Okay. Okay. So, environments. I just lost it again. Oh, yeah, no, okay, this in tandem. Okay, so you need to specify. Oh, you actually? Okay. So I was thinking there's two things that need to happen in tandem. One is that you need to, at the infrastructure component level, so when you install, for example, Kubernetes cluster into your system, you need to tell it which environments it should be provisioned for. But, ah, shoot. I just lost it again. Yes. Okay. No, that is. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Okay. So the thing I was just thinking is that without that, so you could do it without that, but it could just be the links. So if you could say install Kubernetes cluster, uh, in there you configure it. You say, yep, I want this to deploy to GCP or EKS or whatever, uh, GKE or EKS or DigitalOcean's managed Kubernetes or whatever, self-hosted. We'll provision one for you, something. But the underlying thing is that you should have a Kubernetes cluster that Chewy has provisioned for you and made sure is functional to its spec. Yeah. What I was thinking is in the services or source components, you could then specify, oh yeah, you could use the role name and type to specify, well, actually, really just name and type, because there should only, like we said, one infrastructure component per one infrastructure dependency per component per environment. So you could just specify the environment there, but then you couldn't target one that is sort of outside of its environment. So you do need to tell the infrastructure components what environments they deploy to, and you need to tell the service components, service and source components, what infrastructure component they target at every step. Hmm. Hmm. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I think I just spent half an hour just ranting about configuring these dependencies. I feel like the dependencies are like the toughest thing of this whole project. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like that's kind of the tough thing that we're trying to solve is how to configure and connect all of these services, and like the that dependency graph is the key to all of it. That means it's been half an hour. Uh, okay. Just gonna write that down somewhere. The dependency graph. Should I write it in here? I'll write it in here somewhere. We'll go to get graph. Nope. Note to self. Okay. No, Copilot, you cannot help me with this. Each info component specifies in its config which ends it is deployed to. Each service source component infra components, including which infra components specified by env as well. On. Okay. Hey, if this is the only thing that came out of this, I'm happy with it. Oh, I think. I don't have a power cable for my camera, so I have to like recharge it. Okay. I think that makes sense. I think I like it. I just reread that. Each component specifies which ends it's deployed to. Okay, so you say Kubernetes cluster, it gets deployed to. Oh, shoot. Maybe there's a special infrastructure. Maybe there's a special infrastructure environment, and if you're deploying infrastructure, maybe there is a special infrastructure environment that only deploys infra. Maybe that's the only place to do shared infra. Like you shouldn't. Yeah, you know what? That probably makes sense. If it's shared, it should be like it should be shared everywhere. Shouldn't be like specifying that you're going to depend on like a prod database server for your staging, but like not QA. I swear, one of you out there who has not watched this has far more experience with this sort of thing, and I want your help. I want your advice. Oh God, like, but running I've definitely seen well done setups where you can run different environments on the same infrastructure. But I mean, there's a risk there always, uh, but for smaller projects, I think it still makes sense. Um, so shared infrastructure. Okay. Maybe when you set up that infra, that when you set up that infrastructure, when you set up an infrastructure component, you say that it needs to be deployed to the infrastructure environment. Yeah. Then we only deploy it. And if you don't, if you specify, oh yeah, you know what? This is good enough for now. Get status. Whoa. Get add. Oh, did I change other stuff? Get status. Yeah. All right. Thanks, friends. I'm like looking at the camera, but anyone who is watching, which is 0 people right now, but who knows? Maybe someone in the future. Thanks for watching. Please let me know if you have any suggestions. I could use the help. Git push. Did I? Yeah, that was commit. All right, sweet. All right, bye, friends.